Dirt roads to rock crawling, two-buck chuck to screaming eagle, moonshine to 50-year-old single malt. We talk about it all here on Wheelin' Wine and Whiskey with your hosts, Jason and Chris.
Welcome to Wheeling Wine and Whiskey, episode 208, the Tennessee edition. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm tired.
You're turd?
I'm turd. I just got back from the, I don't know, somewhere in the East Coast, somewhat east, middle of the country there, Tennessee, Arkansas.
Did you hear any banjo music?
You know what? I was joking. I had a window cracked when we were driving, and I said, if I hear banjos, I'm heading the opposite direction. So we were on full alert, did not hear any banjos or you got a pretty mouth or anything like that.
You got a pretty mouth there, boy.
So that was good. But oh my gosh, crazy.
Were you in the Ozarks or no?
No, not that I know of.
Not that you know.
But yeah, this was an interesting journey. Somewhat planned. A lot happened that wasn't planned.
Yeah.
And we wish you could have joined us, but
you dropped that bomb on me, and I was like, I can't go.
You can't do it.
Spring in the golf course world is a no-go zone.
So yeah, James and Rhonda were the impetus of this trip. They Samurai James, Lady Samurai, bought a buggy out in Arkansas.
Can they even call themselves Samurai anything anymore?
No, they're going to change it. We already looked into IG. You can change your name. You've got up to 14 days to go back to your old name and before it dies. So we've come up with some new names for them. I don't know what they're going to finally choose, but yeah, they gotta lose the Samurai part now that
Ramrod.
Car Ramrod. Say it. Say car ramrod.
Car ramrod.
So that's a good one. So anyways, it was James's birthday and we went out to dinner and he's like, yeah, I'm going to go pick up this buggy. And I just jokingly said, well, shit. Where is it? Arkansas? How far is that from Tennessee? And it's about 7 hours drive time. And obviously they're towing, trailer out, an empty trailer to pick up a buggy.
Yeah.
And I said, well, maybe I can call a acquaintance here and see if we can hook up and make some magic happen. And it worked out quite well. There was, like I say, a lot of changes, a lot of unknowns, a lot of just, well, let's see when we get there type of stuff. But at the end of the day, it ended up being pretty epic. So we'll get James and Rhonda on the podcast here probably next week to talk about their 3,000 plus mile journey across the United States and back.
When all is said and done, it's probably going to be 6,000 miles.
I think it is. I think the total, it's going to be interesting. And Rhonda, I was in the truck yesterday with them going back to Oklahoma.
What?
And,
you rode in a Dodge?
Well, I rode in a truck. It was a Dodge, and I had to wear headphones because the engine was clacking so bad, and I think a kidney belt because it rode so rough. But
but you can fix that engine with chewing gum and a coat hanger.
It was duct tape. It was like a third world country traveling there because I didn't have the massaging, heated, cooled seat or anything like that. So it was.
There you go again with that. Just more shit to break.
I was just, it was really, really rough. But no, it was. We had a good time. But she was figuring out. The stats like miles and how many states they drove through and all that. So it'll be an interesting podcast to hear their whole journey. And there was a lot that happened. I'll touch on some of it here, but yeah, a lot of stuff happened in a short amount of time, let's just say.
So there's a little prologue, a little teaser for what's going to be coming up.
A teaser.
in the next episode, that'll be episode 209. 209.
Yeah, you want to do 209. She's
so mark your calendars.
209.
Mark your calendars, listeners.
Let's let's talk about you for a minute. Let's see. How are you doing?
Well, I'm an Aries.
You're an Aries. Okay. And you like long walks on a beach.
I like long walks off a short pier.
Off a short pier. That's perfect.
Wow. No, you were off gallivanting around not the eastern seaboard, but sort of the
not eastern seaboard, but
inner eastern coast.
Yeah, it was out
west,
there. Let me tell you,
west of the Appalachian Trail, west of the Appalachian Mountains.
There was some moonshine stills going on.
Moonshine, yeah. I mean, I was just doing my thing here on the West Coast, living my regular life, editing podcasts and working on a golf course. But at the same time, I also had everybody that listens to the show knows I had my birthday, my 55th birthday, and my children, my boys, got together to get me some gifts for the new trailer I acquired. The tie downs, the D-rings, the weld-on D-rings. So they arrived, and I made the arrangement with my son Craig, who's a professional welder, to bring the Jeep over to his shop so we could run the Jeep up onto the trailer and do some measurements and find out what the best locations for these D-rings was going to be, and then he could burn them in. And that was fun. He's gotten really good at welding.
He's a good welder, man. You showed me his weld. It's stacking up some dimes there.
Hell yeah. It is funny because Emily's like, "How do you want me to weld these, Dad? Do you want me to TIG or MIG?" And I'm like, "Whatever's easiest for you." He's like, "Well, the MIG welder's ready to rock and roll."
Yeah.
TIG,
fine.
TIG would take a little bit longer. I'm like, okay, but I mean. So, he burned those things in and we put the Jeep back up on there and checked everything out, and I'm set. I'm stoked. I mean, I'm going to probably put more D-rings on over time, and I'm going to get some of that E-Trax.
So really?
So I can strap things down onto the deck of the trailer. I haven't purchased those yet, but
that's a good idea. Yeah.
Don't you have you don't have an E-Track on your?
Not
you don't
on
have
the
an
trailer.
E-Track.
I've got the eye bolts, and I've got, the D-rings. I got a lot of tie down points, but the E-Track would be clean. It'd be nice.
No, you have the metal deck, so I mean, you just would, I don't know, tack weld.
I do have a metal deck, and it's all trimmed around my deck too, so it's
perfect.
Very big deck.
Wow. Wheeling Wine and Whiskey podcast, always breaking new ground. So anyway, got the trailer, man. I'll tell you what, the trailer is 2 feet longer than my first trailer, my original trailer. And I put the Jeep up on there and got tire tracks on the wood, which is pretty cool. And the trailer doesn't look that big with the Jeep up on there.
Oh. So. Yeah, but it's probably way more stable.
Oh yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, I haven't actually had my truck connected to it yet. Well, I towed the trailer empty back from the dealer to the storage area. So the first inaugural trip with the full kit and caboodle is going to be for not Sierra Trek, for a clinic.
Yeah, safety clinic in a few weeks.
So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I mean, he did a great job burning those tie downs on, and so that's the first step. And the other steps, the other things I need to do are add-ons I need to do to the trailers. I need to get a spare tire mount and have that welded on, and then a toolbox so I can store all my tie downs and whatever. I know people that have trailers like that. Some of them even store like a jack, to when they need to change a tire.
Yeah.
Like Jimmy almost had to do on his trip out to Moab, that's a great story. I mean, I'm glad he didn't have a blowout, because blowouts on a trailer can be very scary.
Yeah, he was describing this vibration that he was getting that was not constant. It was like vibration, and then it would stop, and vibration and stop. And I said, "Dude, it sounds like tires are going south on you." And sure as shit, he made it out to Moab and took it to the tire shop, and they said, "Yeah, you need 2 new tires."
they heard him coming.
I said, "You might as well get up 4." I can't imagine the amount of trailer tires they sell, because I know I did that 6 years ago. Made it out there. I had a tire separate. We pulled into town at like midnight, and I noticed it at the gas station. We were topping off before we went to the campground, and went to the Tyler place the next day, and it was the first at the very beginning of the week, and the guy's like, "Yeah, I got a whole bunch of trailer tires we just got in because
he brings them in
all you guys dragging trailers in with bad tires."
Right. Well, so, I mean, I bet you it's the same thing for KOH. I mean, any major event, you're going to have people coming from all corners of the country, and the shit's going to, I mean, I think, what was it? Who was it? Was it Levi that had problems last year? Levi Shirley, or this last year getting back? He blew a tire or two on his big ass trailer. I think he had one. He ended up driving all the rest of the way to Kansas with like 2 tires on one side out of his triple. Okay. I could be wrong, but I mean, I mean, shit happens. I mean, these trailer tires take a beating. I mean, if you don't know what you're doing, they get curbed a lot as you're making turns, and of course, potholes on the road because they track a little differently, and especially California roads suck.
Oh, terrible.
But I mean, so I'm looking forward to having this thing loaded up. I mean, it's a heavier payload than my previous one, and so I got to figure out the weight distribution. I got to get the toolbox. I want to get the spare tire mount, and then I want to put the reflective tape on it so that people don't crash into it when they come in at night into campgrounds and stuff.
There you go.
Yeah. And then what else did we do? Well, Craig was welding and in the mood to weld. I've had, for the last few years, I've had the track bar on the front I have a telescoping track bar on the front of my Jeep, and the bracket that's on the frame rail on the driver's side has cracked at one point. It's just been a flex point for even with the telescoping track bar locked down for when you're driving on the street.
Yep.
It's the steering is still like loose as shit, and it kind of wanders all over the place. I'm sure the Jeep could use a front end alignment, but we were there. The welder was set up. He just took the grinder out and ground it down a little bit, and then tacked, burned in a new weld on that to close up that crack. We didn't fish plate it or anything like that. Just welded it. And driving back from his shop back to my house that afternoon, it was like the Jeep drove so much better. It was
I bet.
It was actually holding a straight line, which was nice. So I'm thrilled about that. And I don't know. I mean, people are like, "I'll just lose a track bar. Fuck. I had the track bar off when I first did the first lift, and man, that thing. I mean, the rear track bar. You lose the rear track bar when you lift the Jeep on those leaf springs, and you don't notice it as much with no rear track bar. But that front track bar, fuck, that front end wanders from side to side as you corner, and your steering is constantly changing, and I didn't like that. So I actually found the JKS telescoping track bar, which you can lock down or tighten so it doesn't telescope. But when you're off road, you loosen that nut and the thing can telescope. And man, I'll tell you what, it really helps improve articulation off road, but it allows the front end to be a little bit more stable and secure when you're driving down the freeway or taking corners.
Sure.
And for me, this is not for everybody. I know people are like, just lose a track bar. I didn't like it. I didn't like not having the track bar. I tried it, didn't like it, so I went back to one. So with the weld, it's much better. So, and I know, but none of this is glamorous, like cruising off to Tennessee to go bourbon tasting and whiskey tasting and wheeling. But the last thing I've done while you were gone is we all have these Morflate, not everybody, but a lot of people. I know we've given them away, the compressors and the tire inflation kits from Morflate. Our good friend Tyler owns and operates that company. But he's constantly upgrading or improving his product. And the product that you and I had were given back in the day or a few years ago were the original setups with the original air chucks, and they were kind of big and bulky, and they were fine. They worked great, but I guess they had an upgrade, and he offered upgrade kits to buy for his customers, and I got one. And finally today I was sitting around and watching a little bit of TV, and I took some tools into the living room, and I brought the Morflate into the living room, and I upgraded, put the new air chucks on and the new slide valve on by the manifold. because the original valve on that thing is it's a 90-degree ball valve, and when you turn it, it interferes with the manifold, so it gets pretty hot when you're airing up tires and the thing's running, and obviously air pressure and whatnot. So I'm looking forward to trying out the new slide valve and the new air chucks. They seem a little slim. I don't know, streamlined. And they have a cool color to them and whatnot. So anyway, that was my little easy afternoon project today to install the upgrade kit to the inflate my 4-tire inflator from Tyler and Friends.
Yeah, that's cool. So you got that all updated. So you're getting ready for wheeling season.
I'm getting ready for wheeling season, man. It's gonna be a great goddamn. Once the snow melts, it's gonna be a great year. We just had this heat wave, so I know there's been some melting going on. So I know there's still a shitload of snow up there, but as soon as things are cleared out, I want to go wheeling, man. We're gonna break in this wheeling season in a couple of weeks down in Hollister. We'll do a little bit of wine tasting, some wheeling, some instruction, and it's gonna be good, man. Kick off a great year.
Right on. I like it.
Only other thing I need to do is work on this aux beam, and it's kind of funny because our good friend Rodney Muller texted me earlier today. He's like, "How's that aux beam installation coming?" And I texted him a picture of the box.
Wow, that's good.
With the aux beam still in it.
I think you need the first thing is write down all your circuits that you want to hook up to it, and then get in there and do it. It's a little daunting, but it can be done in a few nights, if you set your mind to it.
Can I install an ejection seat?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And it's Bluetooth, so I could do it from anywhere in camp. I could just, who's sitting in my Jeep? Oh,
it's cool. It's cool. Yeah, you can have remote access there. Yeah.
Perfect.
Nice. Okay. Well, that's good. Trailer.
Yeah.
Jeep's ready to go.
Well, Jeep's getting there. I mean, it's always ready to go. It needs an oil change. That's the other thing I need to do.
Oh. When was the last time the oil was changed?
It gets changed once a year, whether it needs it or not.
It's got like 7-8 miles on it or something from last season, or what?
I think last season I drove about 250 miles. I mean, it's not about the miles; it's about the years, right?
I think so.
Well, I mean, shit. How many miles have you driven? Your CJ5's probably gotten 6 or 7 miles on the last year.
No, the CJ5 got a lot last year. Remember, it ran Rubicon. It ran like 6 trails last year, 7 trails.
Oh,
and then there was some road miles too. So it
all right.
Yeah, it gets
you say so.
Okay. All right. So.
All right. Well, yeehaw. I mean, we're getting ready for the wheeling season. I know Jason's been off gallivanting around. I actually kind of figured I didn't hear from you. I know you were traveling yesterday. We're recording in the evening of April 30th. I figured you probably would have gone. I know you. I figured you probably went up to the mountains to do the last day of skiing. A lot of resorts are shutting down after today. Today was it. But I know some resorts are staying open for another couple of weeks anyway.
Yeah, Alpine Squaw. I still call it Squaw.
What's that supposed to be? Palisades? Palisades at Tahoe?
Yeah, Palisades.
But isn't the golf course still Squaw Valley Golf Course?
Squaw Creek. Well, the resort just changed its name to something. I don't know. It was stupid too. But anyways, they need this whole thing. Don't get me started. Oh boy, he's going down. He's going down.
He just made me choke on my bourbon.
He just inhaled some bourbon.
Oh fuck.
But no, they're still open, and Mammoth is still open. So that
aren't
will
they
be
staying open until July 4th or something?
Yeah. So I'll get a couple more ski days in before the end of the season here. We'll see how that shakes out. But
I figured you would.
Yeah, if the knees hold up. But let's dive into
Tennessee.
Junket. Yeah,
Tennessee. How do you spell Tennessee? TENNESSEE.
Yeah, very well done. There are 2 E's on the end.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, good. Look at the big brain on Chris.
You went to Tennessee
to Kahuna Burger?
You went to Nashville and you listened to some tunes and picked up some Southern bells.
So normally, when I do a trip, I got it all planned out and the restaurants I want to hit and stuff, right? And this trip, it happened so fast, and I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna kind of wing it here, and we did, and it worked out. It worked out really well. So flew into Nashville. And flights were good and everything. Get to the Nashville airport, go down to pick up the rental car. And I rented the cheapest, smallest rental car. And I must have spent 2 hours researching. No, anything but a Prius was my deal. Teslas were super cheap. I should say affordable. And I go, well, that's great because there's probably a ton of charging stations in and around Nashville, but I'm going on, an hour away from Nashville. So I'm like, you get out into the middle of Tennessee, I don't think there's going to be a charging station just anywhere. So I'm like, I'm not doing the Tesla thing. And I definitely wasn't doing the Prius thing because there was like manager special EV. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's going to be a fucking Prius. And I said, that's not going to fly. So I go, all right,
let me wanted to see you in a Prius,
a compact car. So I found this like car rental aid or something it was called. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And it's like a discount where they go through all the rental agencies and pick up the last bit of their cars or whatever for a discounted rate. So it saved me like $300. And it went through, and once you book it, then it tells you, okay, you got Hertz, you got Avis, you got budget, whatever. And I ended up with budget. So I'm like, okay, cool.
They're all the same.
God, I did not get Hertz. No, it's not. You get to the Nashville airport, I shit you not, Chris, there was over 80 people in line for the Hertz rent-a-car. And there was one, I repeat, one agent working. And
is his name Dick?
Nope. And I go, Dick Hertz. I get it.
All right, Tyler. All right.
So I'm like, oh my God, this is stupid. And so I'm like, I'm not waiting in this line. And then I look and I'm like, oh, this is Hertz. And so I walk around. There's like 5 people in the budget line. I'm like, there we go. And as I was in line, I hear what I assume and was correct, that it was the manager was on the phone with somebody, and it was a 2-hour wait for cars.
Wow.
2-hour wait. So I get up there
for Priuses
and I go, okay. He goes, yeah, sir. I apologize. It's a 2-hour wait for a car. I'm like, well, that's not cool. Got a reservation, for 3:00, and it's 3:30, and I should have a car available, because that's how this works. So I totally understand, right?
Well, but, you figured they'd staff up and be able to handle it.
No, they overbooked them 120 cars, they said.
What the fuck? Was there some special event happening in Nashville?
There was. Come to find out, there was some beauty pageant fashion show going on.
Really? They needed that many cars for it?
Remind me that story, fashion show, when I get to Jack Daniels.
Let me write it down. Hold on.
Write it down. Write that down.
Fashion
show. Jack
show. SHOE, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Shoe.
So anyways, I'm like, but then I overheard also that they said that the manager's like, we got V's and L's. Well, V is van, L is luxury. And so I had booked a compact, cheapest car. And so the guy that was helping me was super cool. And I go, hey, I understand there's vans and luxury vehicles available. And he goes, yeah, that's correct. And I go, well, can I get a minivan for the same price? He goes, hang on a second. He goes over to the manager, and the manager nodded her head yes. So I got upgraded to a minivan. I'm like, okay.
And
I don't care.
And I want wheels. A uterus too?
I want wheels. No, I got a soccer ball and 4 kids that came with the car. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Did you have to feed them?
Nope. No, they had their McDonald's Happy Meals and everything. So I go, he goes, hey, we got a brand new, it's got 220 miles on it, Chrysler minivan. I'm like, all right, give it to me.
That's a Dodge product.
The thing was brand new. It had like still stuff packaged up in plastic for, I don't know, seatbelt covers and shit. I'm like, okay, whatever. Get in this thing and take off because I wasn't waiting 2 hours. Head over to meet up with James and Rhonda. So they found a campground close by the hotel that I was staying at. And so check out the buggy, and it's badass. And it's just a really cool Jesse Haynes goat-built chassis. And cool. It's got all the bells and whistles on it, all the good, heavy-duty parts. And so it was like, let's see, by that time, it was like 5:30 or something. And so I go, let's go back to Nashville. I said, let's go check out downtown Nashville. So hop in the old minivan and head to downtown Nashville. And holy smokes, it's like a mini Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
Every bar, this is a Monday night, mind you, every bar had a live band just cranking. And it was like a Friday night, of like your typical honky tonk town. And so
Nashville's pretty urban, dude. It's a major city.
Yeah. So I'd never been there. I heard stories, but dude, it was super cool. So we went into the first bar we went into was Whiskey Bent. I'm like, well, we got to go check that out. And really cool female singer there. All the band members took turns singing, and we listened to like 7 or 8 songs there. Had a Jack and Coke. Had to start out the trip with a Jack and Coke there.
Well, there you go.
But it was really well done. They actually, every bar I went to had a bottle of Blanton's on the shelf, and they were almost all drained. I didn't ask what prices were. But,
I was going to ask you, but
I didn't. It was so loud and just like, okay, give me a Jack and Coke. Let's go.
If you have to ask, fucker.
Yeah, but they had some good whiskey selections there.
I would hope so. Shit.
So we walked all the way up and down. We hit Jason Aldean's, and some of these bars are like 4 stories. And I'm like, what the hell? Oh, so prior to that, when I was on the plane, this couple that I was sitting next to on Southwest was from Nashville. So I said, hey, might run into town. What do you recommend? She goes, oh, you got to go to the 1230 Club. And I'm like, okay. So when we got to town, starving, I hadn't eaten dinner or anything. We were all hungry. So we went to the 1230 Club. Again, another 4-story bar, restaurant, everything going on. So we go up to the top, and they got a bar, and you could eat at the bar. You could eat at the bar.
Open roof? Or?
It was open roof deal.
Oh, that's cool.
And they were having a event there. We could have totally popped in on that buffet. There was it was pretty loose, but I was like, no.
Is 4 stories the tallest building in Nashville, or no?
No. There's some big buildings there that are probably 20 stories. I mean,
oh, okay.
Yeah, some impressive stuff. So anyways, we go there, have a great meal. The burgers. And we got these short rib pot stickers, and I'm like, oh my God, these appies are great. And so, I don't know, a few days later, we were talking to somebody, and we're like, they're like, oh, you went to Nashville, where'd you go? Where'd you eat? And we went to the 1230 Club. And the guy goes, oh, that's the Justin Bieber's club.
Oh, shit.
And I go, no, please no. I'm gonna hurl right now. And he goes, oh no, that's Justin Bieber's club, and I go, fuck no, that's impossible. And so we immediately, James Ron and I are like looking it up, and we go, there's no way. And so I look it up, it's Justin Timberlake's club. Oh. I'm like, okay, well, Justin Timberlake's cool.
He's a good actor too. I like his movies.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, that made us feel a lot better. But I was like, I didn't want to give 1 penny to Justin Bieber.
Have you seen the movie Bad Teacher with Cameron Diaz and Justin Timberlake? Fuck, that's a great flick.
So we pop into, bars, like I say, Jason Aldean, and some of the Kid Rock's bar was cool. And
was he there?
The music was awesome. No, I didn't see any celebrities.
Was Bud Light on the shelf?
No, well, there was a lot of Bud Light signs, and some of them were shot out. So I don't know, whatever that means. But we ended up at this last one, Layla's Bar, and it was a real hardcore honky tonk country bar.
Cool.
Super cool. Had a lot of license plates from around the United States up on the ceiling there, the bar, and the guy had a George Strait sound that was singing.
Cool.
It was cool. It was really cool. So headed back, and then the next morning I picked up James and Rhonda, and we headed to the Waffle House. The Waffle Hoosie. I'm like, we got to eat at the Waffle House. I haven't been to a Waffle House in years, and got a pecan waffle.
Pecan pie.
Yeah. And, hash browns all the way, which is, so they scatter the hash browns so they get crisp up nice.
Right.
And then they throw chunks of ham in there.
Yeah. I had a mini heart attack when you sent me the picture.
Grilled onions. Mushrooms, grilled mushrooms, jalapenos, grilled jalapenos.
Ooh, no.
And then they throw gravy on top and chili. Right. And I said, hold the chili. I go all the way, hold the chili for the morning. Dude,
everybody in the same
good.
car.
Oh, it's a gut bomb on high, but it was good.
Dude, I don't know how you eat that stuff, man. I mean, like I said, you sent the picture to me, and I stroked out. I
stroked out. So I was like, okay, we're well fed. So we had
it's like going to Hash House a Go-Go or something.
Yeah, Hash House a Go-Go is a good one. So head down the old interstate there, and end up at this place called Big Tire Garage. You may have heard of it.
Oh yeah, I've heard of them. The place. Yeah, never been there.
So
should have been there.
Ian Johnson, contacted him and said, "Hey, here's the situation. Picking up a buggy and we're heading into town. Are you available?" And he goes, "Yeah, come on over." So
come on down.
Went, got the tour of Big Tire and all the projects and stuff he's working at. And, checked out whiskey selection there, which is pretty good.
He's see our sticker.
Big coffee guy. Yes, our sticker's up on the wall. Got a picture with that. The bomber's stripped right now. I guess the engine got a little low oil pressure. He ran it. He said it was still running at like 4 psi oil pressure. But pulled the axles out. So he's either going to paint it or powder coat the chassis and put everything back together. But he said, man, that bomber just flat out works.
Oh yeah, I mean, anybody. Yeah. I mean, whether it's a race car or a trail bomber, I mean, it's the same. Just a little bit different shock package and drivetrain, but yeah, right. I mean, those things are badass.
So, it's cool looking at all the projects that you see from the, TV, YouTube videos, and then, all the filming equipment and lights and stuff. And it's cool.
So let me ask you this: seeing the studio and the shop / studio, is it, does he have people, or does he just do everything like himself? And I mean, does he have camera operators that come in? And how does that work?
There's a crew that comes in when he's doing the 4-wheeler stuff. So anything like that, there's a crew. He owns a production company called Digital Lug. So that's part of that. And then of course he does for YouTube, he's doing his own stuff, filming his own stuff. But yeah, there's crews that come in and film for a week or two or whatever for their shows.
So the camera equipment's there all the time. He owns it.
Well, some of the stuff, I don't know. There was a bunch of stuff there.
So like pretty highfalutin.
Well, I don't know. It looked highfalutin to me. He's got some badass lights up in the ceiling though. That it's like an octagon grid pattern LED. That's like, I don't know, 8 by 10 or something, that he can raise and lower down to get
illuminate
good lighting going. Yeah, that's the ceiling's all black and everything, so it disappears in the filming. But he does have, it's set up for that whole deal. It's insulated. It's
Heated.
It's just a cool shop.
Cool.
Heated and cooled. Yeah.
I was going to say, highfalutin to you is like a battery powered headlamp. So,
Right. Exactly. No, I like my light. But got to see the Volkswagen Bug. He was working on a trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Saw the Bomber. Saw the TJ that he was converting into an LJ.
Is that the one that's got the aux beam in it?
I don't know about that one. That one didn't. I don't know. It was up on a rack. But well, his goat built rig, the black with the yellow chassis. That's the one that's got an aux beam in it. That's the one we rode in. But and then the shop truck's super cool.
What is it?
And the Colorado that he took on Ultimate Invention. Yeah, the Colorado. That's a badass truck. It's got the rooftop tent and everything that's in the bed.
Is that a second gen Colorado or a first gen?
I don't know. I'm not a Colorado expert.
My original work truck or my red work truck, is it like that or?
It's nothing like it because it's totally customized. So I don't know.
So I always thought that the white 4-wheel drive Colorado, I had one for a work truck. I thought that would be a cool, because it was like the regular cab, but it was a little bit bigger than a regular cab. I thought that would be a great rig to turn into a trail rig.
Yeah. Well,
obviously
this one's set up. It's set up. He's got an old Dodge work truck there. Construction with the utility bed on it. And then a smart car that he's working on that's all lifted with bigger tires is really freaking cool. Yeah.
Smart cars crack me up. I can only imagine what it looks like with lifted big tires. It's like a roller skate.
It's just just a lot of cool stuff to check out. And then so he's like, hey, let's check out this new buggy. So James just picked it up and we're like, well, we got a brake line to fix. We got to shim this power steering pump because it was jumping a rib on the belt and stuff. But anyways, looking at it and pretty freaking cool having Ian Johnson look at your junk that you just bought, and talking about all the different stuff. But he's like, hey, this is a good buggy. Let's see how it wheels. So we on our way to his shop, we knew we needed to space the power steering pump. I was looking at it. I go, hey, let's see if we can find something. So there was an Ace Hardware store on the way, and went in there and we found some spacers that were absolutely perfect.
Cool.
And then we're like, oh, we need a brake line, so we're calling up all these speed shops and stuff, and no brake lines. So we get to
Summit Racing nearby, or
nope. So go to YouTube. It's Tennessee, and so
Tennessee is like NASCAR, dude. Come on,
3N brake line, and he goes, hey, I think I got one of those. So he found one for us and threw it on the seat, and we ended up fixing the power steering pump and the brake line that night. In the parking lot of the hotel. So that was pretty cool. So that afternoon, after hanging out with him, he's like, hey, I got some work to do. Why don't you guys run over to Jack Daniels and do that tour? And I'm like, I didn't even plan on going to Jack Daniels. It was about, 45 minutes away or so.
Oh,
so
shit.
I'm like, hell yeah. And, you're going through these neighborhoods and, there's no fences there. It's like these wide open yards. Houses are spread out. Almost all brick, right? But heavily wooded, green. I mean, it was beautiful. And
that's what it was like up in where I lived in Connecticut. All the houses were separated by rock walls that were just from the native rock. When they were leveling the land and getting it ready for a house, they just throw them into a wall, and that's how it separated the properties.
Oh yeah.
So I'm sure it's the same.
They weren't even
Tennessee.
separate. It was just grass. It was just, but the houses were brick. But there was no walls or anything in between.
No fence, no wall, no
fence,
nothing.
no walls, no nothing. Just wide open. Just you need a riding lawnmower because there's a lot of grass.
Oh yeah. Well, I know about those.
So we get to Jack Daniels, pulling to Lynchburg, Tennessee, right?
Isn't that a dry county?
It is a dry county, and I rolled down the windows, and you could hear the angels sing. I'm like, no shit. And this is on a Tuesday, right? And of course, there's, tourists there coming in to check out Jack Daniels.
Sure.
And so they got the distillery and the visitor center and all that. And then there's like this town of Lynchburg, this town square that is all mom and pop businesses. Obviously, Jack Daniels related catering to them, the tourists that come in.
Tourists.
And so we pull into this parking lot and they got a shuttle. And everything's within walking distance, but they got this nice shuttle and very, very welcoming people there. Like, hey, welcome, and you here for a tour, or do you have a reservation? I'm like, and I thought, oh man, we don't have a reservation. We're gonna get nixed. And he's like, oh no problem. Hop on the shuttle. It'll take you right to the distillery. You'll go in, go to the right, sign up for. There's 3 different tours, and off you go. So okay.
You didn't say, do you know who I am?
No. I said, do you know Chris? Wheeling Wine and Whiskey.
Right.
So we go in and sign up for a tasting tour. And they said, okay, it'll be in about a half an hour. I'm like, perfect. So they have a whole museum there with all the different bottles throughout the years.
Oh, I bet that was cool.
It was super cool. And then, of course, they had Jack's, outfit there and hats and anything Jack related, the family tree, rig. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then so the tour starts, and we get this lady named Kim that is excellent tour guide.
Very knowledgeable. Southern accent,
and freaking funny. And there was a bachelorette party with about 7 or 8 people in that, and then a few couples, and then James Rhonda and we had a small group. And she, keyed into this bachelorette party right away and made so many funny jokes and innuendos and stuff. It was phenomenal.
Perfect.
So we start the tour, and walking through, and it's cool. One of the first places you go is where they make the charcoal. So
cool.
They burn the sugar maple,
sure,
and make the charcoal. And talk about that whole, operation. And there's just these stacks of, sugar maple cut down like 1 by 1s and just stacked like Jenga, but with openings.
I was gonna say,
they burn. And then you see their fire department and stuff, and I'm like, oh man. And then you see the water coming out of the the limestone there that they use.
The spring.
Yeah, the spring there. So and then you go into this little building, this little house, if you will, that where they ran the distillery, where they ran the operation, and then obviously it expanded from there.
Right.
But, I mean, some of the stats are incredible there. How many? So they got their own fire department. So there's 32 fire. Why? Because you got alcohol and stills, which can catch on fire, and then
does every distillery have their own fire department?
I don't know, but they should. But this place is huge, right? So they have 32 firefighters. They're not there, all 32 firefighters at a time, but 32 total firefighters, and they have more foam than any airport in the United States.
Shit.
To put out a fire. So how crazy is that? So Jack Daniels is safer than any airport in the United States.
Ultra Fort Jones can maybe get a job there.
They have over 300,000 visitors a year.
That's it?
And yeah, that's it. How many gallons a minute do you think they produce of Jack Daniels? This blew me away.
I don't know, 1,000 gallons.
Well, that's a lot of fucking whiskey. 200 gallons a minute.
Okay, well, I was off by
200 gallons a minute.
500%, but whatever.
Yeah, just
200 gallons a minute of whiskey pour out of the stills.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot more than I could drink.
And then they produce, let's see here, 2,000 barrels a day.
Whew.
2,000 barrels a day. Isn't that crazy?
So were you able to see the warehouses where all the barrels are stored?
You walk by some, and then when you walk into one, you see one of the rick houses where they store the barrels.
Right. So how did they?
There's multiple buildings that store barrels.
Do they get into how they decide what's going to be a single barrel or what's going to go into the famous blend and then what becomes gentleman and blah blah blah?
Correct. Yeah. So gentleman. So what makes Jack Daniel's unique is that it's they distill it and then they filter it through 10 feet of the charcoal that they make there on site.
Correct.
That sugar maple charcoal. So that's what makes it Jack Daniel's. Yeah. And then so the Gentleman Jack is done twice. It's double mellowed.
Okay.
So it goes through the filtration twice, and that's why it gets a little bit smoother there, right? And then the other cool thing that they started doing is using the sour mash. They're able to produce energy from that, and it produces enough energy for the distillery and the town of Lynchburg.
No shit.
So they're powering themselves. Yeah.
Wow. So they got like a cogeneration plant.
Right? So
that's cool.
Pretty freaking cool. Do you know how Jack Daniels died?
Probably drank himself to death.
No, you would think that, right?
No, I have no idea.
Well, he got pissed off at the safe one day. He couldn't open it, couldn't remember the combo, and he kicked it, and he damaged his toe, and his toe got gangrene, and then it worked its way up his leg, and he ended up, having it amputated, and then 6 years later, it killed him. So
probably should have seen a doctor sooner,
right? Right.
That's a horrible way to die. I mean, shit.
So the other cool thing is one Friday a month is payday, and each employee of Jack Daniel's gets a bottle of Jack Daniel's. And so they joke around that nobody calls in sick that Friday, and they call it Good Friday.
Yeah,
everybody gets a bottle of Jack, and so the water, limestone naturally filters out the iron in the water, so there's zero iron in the water. That's what makes it ideal for distilling.
Oh, it's the same. The water for a lot of things is critical. I mean, you hear about the water for Jack Daniel's, and of course, the water that makes the bagels in New York City, that makes them special, and of course, the water for Coors beer. I mean, it just seems to always come down to the water. Right?
Yeah.
I was going to ask, did they get into any of the details as to how they choose a single barrel? Is it a location in one of the houses?
There's tasters there. I want that job. So there's tasters that determine if
so
it's
they're just wandering
barrel.
around. But I mean, is it a barrel that's higher up in the building or lower in the building or on a south side or a north side?
So it depends. Yeah, that all depends. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But yeah.
So they have to open or taste every single barrel to decide this is a barrel that's going to be a single barrel bottling.
I guess so.
Oh, fuck, that'd be a great
it's a rough job, but somebody's got to do it.
I don't know, man. I think it'd be like a 2-hour shift and then you're kind of toasted, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
Yeah. But I mean, just a ton of history, right? And just the amount, the sheer production that they're going through is just amazing. And they make their own barrels. They have their own, cooperage. That makes their barrels, and they cut their staves and assemble these barrels because, what did I say? They're going through 2,000 plus barrels a day. And it's only, they only use them for 1 year, and then they're done. and then those barrels get shipped off to international. So
winemakers use them, and
and they use them in put scotch and stuff in them in Ireland and everything. I mean, they get used.
Scotland.
Yeah, Scotland there and Ireland. But yeah, really interesting the amount going through.
I don't think they're making scotch in Ireland, just saying.
Well, so scotch and whiskey and so they're going around these European countries, and that's been verified by some of our friends there.
Sure. No, that's super cool. I'm sorry I missed out on all that, man. And we talk about FOMO on the show a lot, and I was one of those. This is another one of those weeks of the year where I kind of had to shut down a little bit and say, "Fuck you guys, I'm missing out."
Yeah, but it was a total. Like I say, I had no idea that we were going to end up at Jack Daniel's. It just happened, and we were at the end of the day. It was like 2:30 tour, and it's like an hour long deal. And then so you finish up in the bottling room where they're bottling, and then you walk as you're going into the bottling line. There's all the plaques there of people that bought barrels. So, you can buy a barrel of Jack Daniels, have it. They'll ship you the empty barrel, and then they bottle up all the whiskey and send that to you, right?
How many bottles come out of a barrel?
It depends, because the Angel Share, it's unlike wine that it doesn't get topped off.
That's right. So, we've talked about the Angel Share.
Right. So the Angel Share, right? And then so you can see like there's people's names there, like it'd say Chris Maines, and then they have little tiny barrels, pictures of barrels that they stick on your plaque. And so there's some people there that had like 12, 15 barrels that they bought over the years.
Shit.
I'm like, holy smokes. And I don't know what the cost is. You can probably look it up, but it's not cheap.
Wheeling Wine Whiskey needs to buy a barrel, I think, at some point.
There you go. But we did, you go in, the tour ends in the bottle shop, so you can buy, it ends tasting. So you do a tasting. So they have regular Jack, Gentleman Jack, and then they have, the cinnamon, the fire, the honey, the apple. And then she had us take like half of those and mix, so you can make like this fire apple and mix in the honey. And yeah, that's where I got a little lost. Oh, they had the rye too. You tasted the rye, which was good.
Was it like really good or just good?
Oh yeah, it's a spicy rye. But Gentleman Jack is just is good. Regular Jack's fine, but not straight.
No, regular Jack's great as a Jack and Coke, or but Gentleman Jack, you can sniff, you can hit that straight. I mean, it's it makes a much better Jack and Coke, but I'm interested in that rye. Like I saw the picture you sent, and I'm like, man, I want a little bit of that. I don't think I've ever seen the rye in a store out here.
It's I've seen it around. Yeah, it's not uncommon. It's not as common as regular Jack, but it's common. At like Total Wine and More and stuff, you can find it.
I mean, usually I see the single barrels, but
Yeah, and then the single barrels are outstanding. So you get done, and then you end up in the bottle shop, and you can obviously purchase. And then they have engraving, so you can get stuff personally engraved, and they have logos and stuff. And then I'm reading the sign that says, "Oh, well, if you own a company or have your own proprietary logo, you can have it etched on the bottle." And so I'm scrolling through my phone, finding the Wheeling Wine and Whiskey logo. And so you can email it to them. So I email it, and then I go over to the counter and I go, "Hey, did you get my logo?" And she goes, "Yeah, I got it." She goes, "Oh my gosh, that one's complex." And I said, "Yeah."
Yeah, it is.
And she goes, "Let me see. I can't remember her name, Jennifer something, whatever. She was there." And she goes, "Oh, well, if anybody could do it, she can." And so she's asking me about it. I had to fill out a waiver and everything that said that it was our logo. I showed him business card and everything, and
well, you didn't get authorization from me.
No, I didn't. I got Lorenzo's authorization though, so that's all we needed was a producer. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, she says, "Okay, well, right? It's good, huh?"
He flew you there, right?
Yeah. So it's going to take about an hour to do this. And so we said, okay, well, we'll head into the little, town square and go shopping. And you go into the Jack Daniels shop, and it's got everything you can think of with a Jack Daniels logo, man. It's crazy. And so I ended up getting a nice hat, the fire department hat there, the
cool.
Jack Daniels Fire Department. I'm like, that's unique, but they had all kinds of, clothing, whatever you can imagine. And they had a barrel shop where they make furniture out of the old, Jack Daniels barrels and everything. I actually
chairs
got
and tables.
Yeah, a cool paper towel holder that was engraved with Jack. And so I'm like, well, that's pretty freaking cool. So anyways, we're going around, that whole deal, and then head back, get our bottles. So I go, hey, were you able to do it? And she goes, and she just had this beaming smile.
Oh,
and
boy.
She goes, I want to see your reaction. And so she holds it up, and I'm like, holy crap. So I got it done on a 1 liter Gentleman Jack bottle. So on the front, it says Wheeling Wine and Whiskey, and on the back, it has the logo, and it came out freaking awesome. And I'm like, holy crap, that's good. She goes, oh my God, this was the hardest logo we've ever done. But here it is. I'm proud of it. And I go, yeah, you should be. That came out great. So it's all
sweet,
etched on there and done. Yeah, really cool.
That's awesome.
So I gotta share a couple stories here, and then maybe we'll wrap up this section. But so there is a black sac fungus that thrives around the distillery. So
black sac fungus.
Yeah, so they were just in the news recently
because
all
these people are
like, I probably would. People are freaking out because it turns the signs black. It turns everything, like plants, and it'll attach itself. So it's in the vicinity of distilleries and spirits of maturation facilities.
Black sac virus.
Yeah, and it's because of the alcohol, the airborne alcohol. And
really?
So it's nicknamed the whiskey fungus. And so I'm going to butcher this thing, but it's Bedonia campenensis. Yeah.
What did you say? It
says
cocksacky virus. Cocksacky virus infection.
Dude. So it's BAUDOINIA COMPNIACENSIS. So it's this sac fungus that is attaches itself and thrives in these areas with airborne alcohol from distilleries, and it's very common in Tennessee.
Just say no to airborne alcohol, I guess.
So there's your little fun fact there.
I'm not sure what to do with that. Unless you're a plant.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Cocksack virus. Virus.
Yeah, you can wash it off, but it's not harmful to humans.
You heard it here on Wheeling Wine and Whiskey podcast.
There you go. So, we get our bottles, and the place is like, there it is. We're just full of fun facts. So we're loading up the minivan, and there's this couple that is stranded there because they took an Uber out from Nashville, which is like an hour plus away, and there's no Uber to get back. And I'm like, the bus drivers are asking around trying to find a ride for them and everything. And I said, hey, I'm not heading back to Nashville, but, we are headed back near there, about 40 minutes away. I can give you a ride to that point. And they ended up being from San Diego, and they were part of the fashion show.
San Diego.
Yeah, and they were putting on part of the fashion show.
I was going to ask you about this fashion show.
Yeah. Good. Thanks for reminding me.
Hey, can I remind you about this fashion show?
Yeah. So there's this big fashion show going on in Nashville.
All right, well, winning.
She goes, oh my God, thank you. I'm like, yeah, hop in. I got this minivan. So it ended up being fortuitous. I got this minivan. So giving them a ride back to Columbia, Tennessee.
Was she pretty?
And I said, "Hey, what was the husband and wife? Jesus Christ!
So she can still be pretty.
Get there." And I said, "Hey, look up an Uber, and we'll make sure you get an Uber to Nashville." And so we were about 15 minutes from the hotel, and she started, searching, and sure enough, picked up a ride. So I said, "Perfect.
Good.
We're going to be there in 12. They're supposed to be there in 15. Sure enough, unloaded out of the minivan. 3 minutes later, here comes our Uber to take them to Nashville. I'm like, oh man, it all worked out. And so I, they were super appreciative. And I go, hey, look, this just happened to me a few weeks ago in Napa. I said, we went to this wedding reception. We got there, no problem. We could not get back. And we ended up riding in the back of a van with a DJ. So I said, I totally get it.
Back of a rape van.
And you feel helpless. You got no wheels, And she goes, yeah, I was looking for buses, trains, anything. I go, yeah, you're out in Tennessee. You're not in San Diego where there's all kinds of means of transportation, right?
San Diego.
So, anyways, that was kind of a cool story. Helped them out, and they ended up getting to Nashville. They were a little late for dinner, but they made it back for their fashion show the next day. So, yeah.
Your feel-good story of the day right there. Giving back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you charge him?
No, absolutely not.
Shit, I would have charged him.
So, of course you would have. But our tour guide, Kim, shout out to Kim. She was actually on The Biggest Loser, that TV show.
Yeah.
So she was on that. Like I say, great personality, super gregarious and funny. And I gave her our business card, and I said, hey, we got this little podcast, and I would love to have you on to talk more in depth about Jack Daniels and your story, being on The Biggest Loser and stuff. And so she hopefully she gives us a call, reaches out. Kim, if you're listening, give us a call. We'd love to have you on. So yeah,
perfect.
Really cool stuff. So yeah,
Jason, that was, making it happen.
Jack Daniels. It was like my Disneyland. That was my Disneyland. It was cool. It was just the history, and seeing the whole operation firsthand. Really, really cool. So, but definitely a bucket list item. And if you're ever in that area near Lynchburg, Tennessee, should go check it out.
Yeehaw.
So
and there's tons of other distilleries in that area too. I mean, Tennessee, Kentucky, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, we need. I mean, next time we go, we'll have to go together. But I know that my younger brother goes. His son, my nephew, lives someplace in Tennessee. I'm not exactly sure where, but every time Pat goes out to visit his son, he's always telling me about the different distilleries he goes to taste and whatnot. So maybe we could lean upon that situation to save some money on housing and whatnot. So
that'd be great. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I can't make any promises or anything like that, but yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
You're on air right now. So
I am. Well,
there you go.
I'm going to edit this all out.
Good. Perfect.
But yeah, no, I'm super sad that I missed the trip, and it sounds like you had a ball. We haven't talked about any of the wheeling at all. I mean, and that of course we preface that with
coming up on the next day here,
right? With Rhonda and James and you, of course, and Ian getting out to the different. So wheeling, just to kind of preface that, there's no BLM land in that area. That's all private parks that are.
It's private parks. So so we were supposed to meet up with Ian after the Jack Daniels deal, but it took a while, and so I just texted him and said, "Hey, we're not going to make it back tonight. We were planning on wheeling the next day." Mm-hmm. So he says, "Okay, great. We'll go to AOP." And so in Chattanooga, Tennessee, which is 2 hours away. And so he goes, hey, because James and Rhonda had the truck with the camper on the back, right, and trailer and everything, and
how much fuel did they burn? They must have burned a fuck ton.
We're gonna get those stats here. And fuel prices out there were so much better. Oh my God!
Still, it doesn't change in gallons. I mean, it just changes how much you pay for it. But I mean, fuck.
Yeah, but there's a cost involved, right?
Sure.
So anyways, so Ian says, hey, I got the 2-car trailer, we'll just, I'll load up my rig and we'll put your rig on the back, James, and we'll head out together to Chattanooga. So that was our next day. So there's the teaser. We headed out to Chattanooga, Tennessee, AOP. And let me just say, that East Coast wheeling is a lot different than wheeling on the Sierra Granite.
Is it?
And what we're used to. Yes, it is. It's different driving style and a whole different environment. It's like wheeling in the jungles, man. El Jungle.
I can relate. I didn't wheel on the East Coast, but I've lived there, and it's shit's green, man. A lot of green everywhere, green trees. I can say that I lived in California for a few years, and then I went back east for a friend's wedding. This is back in the early 90s, and I got off the plane in the dark in Hartford, and a friend picked me up and drove me down to our final destination. The next morning, I woke up and walked outside, and it was like just this blast of green. Everything it's like overload. And I'm sure Tennessee's the same way.
Yeah, and every 4 feet is a tree. So, this was Adventure Off-Road Park. It's a private park. And so we headed out there, and it's it's cool. So I think maybe we should wrap it up there.
All right.
And we'll continue because I'll just say it was raining, and it was wet. And there was mud and a lot of slippery rocks. So
getting images of trees. What's that movie? Good Morning Vietnam with Robin Williams. Hot and wet.
It wasn't hot. That was a nice thing. It was, and luckily I packed my rain gear, so we were good. But it was it was super freaking fun. I don't know.
Well,
Lorenzo's
there you go.
Giving us the wrap-up sign now.
So tune in next week. Tune in next week for the exciting details about off-roading in Tennessee.
Wheeling with Ian Johnson.
Ian, Jason, James, and Rhonda in Tennessee. That's going to be awesome. So cool. All right. Well, we're not going to conduct any business. I'm sure Jason's got some voicemails. We'll get back to our normal regular programming.
Call us. Give me some questions.
People don't like us anymore.
I got no voicemails.
We need to figure out a way to bribe people to leave us reviews too,
Right?
So, the only thing we have to offer is if you leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star review, and then DM Jason on the Instagram at Wheeling Wine Whiskey. We'll give you a sticker, and then you can represent us in the wild out there with a sticker on your rig as you bop around on the off-road trails or even around town. That'd be super cool. Never forget, you can email Jason or Chris or Lorenzo at wheelingwinewhiskey.com, and we'd love to hear from you. And then you can also, as we mentioned just before about the voice, we're not having any voice messages. You can call at 408-800-5169 and leave a voice message. What's that number, Jason?
It's 408-800-5169.
Woohoo! 408-800-5169. Leave a voice message and Jason will send you a sticker, or Wheeling Wine Whiskey will send you a sticker. And then, of course, never, ever, ever forget the wheelingwinewhiskey.com website where you can catch all of our past episodes. And also our merch store, which has not just our clothing and where you can represent us when you're out and about, but the Element fire extinguisher, which is important to have in your rig, your camper, your tow rig. You definitely want to be able to prevent or fight a fire if it does break out. If it unfortunately breaks out, you want to be able to put it out.
I saw a lot of them out there in Tennessee.
Well, you did?
Yeah, a lot of rigs.
That's super cool. Right on.
Almost every rig had one, actually. I was surprised to see them in there. I mean, it was a good thing, but I was like, wow, the word got out in Tennessee.
Well, there you go. Well, yeah. I mean, as we will probably reveal in the next episode, I mean, the types of rigs that are out there, they aren't quite the same as out here, but pretty similar, I'm sure, in some ways. But anyway, if you like the show, spread the word. Tell a friend. We'd love to. We'd love to hear or have new listeners, and absolutely would embrace them. And hopefully they like the content. So if you like the content, like what you're hearing, spread the word, please. Jason, you got anything else?
No, I think that about wraps it up for now. Woo-hoo. And with that,
we're out.